You know, when you're faced with something as life-altering as an ALS diagnosis, where do you even begin to look for strength? Well, today we're going to explore a really unexpected source of resilience, the ancient philosophy of Confucianism, and how its core teachings can offer a powerful framework for navigating this journey.
A diagnosis like ALS, it can feel like it just changes everything. Your physical abilities, your daily routines, your plans for the future. It really forces you to ask this deep, fundamental question. When so much gets stripped away, what's actually left? What is the unshakable core of who you are? And this is where ancient wisdom can really offer some guidance. Now, let's be super clear here. We're not talking about a medical cure. This is about a philosophical path, a way to find strength within the challenges by looking inward, by drawing on principles that have sustained people for literally centuries. So let's start right at the beginning, that moment of diagnosis, because that's where the new path and all the new challenges truly begin. That feeling of fear, the grief, the utter confusion, it's all a totally natural part of being human. And Confucianism doesn't ask you to suppress any of it. In fact, it says, hey, those feelings, that's the starting point for a journey of inner work, or what it calls self-cultivation. Now, this quote introduces a really core Confucian idea, ren, or humaneness. At first glance, it might sound like you're supposed to just bottle everything up, right? But it's actually the complete opposite. It's about finding self-mastery within the distress. It's about choosing to act with compassion for yourself and for others, especially when it's the hardest thing to do. Okay, so that sounds great in theory, but how do you actually practice this self-mastery? Well, Confucianism gives us a pretty practical guide through a set of core principles. Let's break them down. First up, and this is the big one, is Ren. You can really think of it as the heart of Confucian ethics. It's this deep, deep commitment to compassion and kindness, not just for other people, but for yourself, too. This is the foundation that everything else is built on. And this quote just shows you the true scope of Ren. This isn't some selective kindness you only show to a few people. Nope. It's an expansive, all-encompassing love that becomes a real anchor for your moral purpose, especially when physical challenges start to grow. Next, we have Li, or ritual propriety. This might sound a little stuffy and formal, but it's really about creating structure and harmony in your life. Li is found in those small, consistent, meaningful actions, things like a weekly family video call that help maintain connection and respect, and they can adapt as your abilities change. And finally, there's xiao, or filial piety. And here's something that's absolutely crucial to understand. This isn't a one-way street of kids having a duty to their parents. It's about mutual care, a two-way bond of support, respect, and duty that makes the entire family unit stronger. This is where all these principles become so incredibly powerful. They help you face one of the toughest challenges of ALS, having to redefine your purpose when the roles you used to have just aren't possible in the same way anymore. This chart shows such a powerful shift in perspective. I mean, so much of our identity can get tied up in what we do, right? Being a provider, a teacher, an athlete. But Confucianism invites us to root our identity in who we are, in our character, our enduring roles as a parent, a friend, a mentor, or what's called a junzi, an exemplary person. And look, this isn't just some abstract idea. Purpose can be found in new and deeply meaningful acts, things like listening with your full undivided presence, or sharing your wisdom using technology, or just expressing heartfelt gratitude to a caregiver. These are not small things. Each one is a profound expression of your character and your moral purpose. And all of this brings us to what is, in Confucian thought, the very foundation of a meaningful life, the strength you draw from and contribute to your family and your community. So, how do we lean into that strength? Well, a key idea here is shu, or reciprocity. Realizing that asking for help isn't a sign of weakness, it's an act that actually makes relationships stronger. You can ask for specific things, like having someone read to you. But just as important is what you contribute simply through your presence. Your wisdom, your attention, your kindness. These are huge contributions to family harmony, and they're reinforced by those small rituals, like that weekly video call. So as this journey continues, the focus starts to shift. It turns toward the enduring impact of a life that's been well lived, the legacy you're going to leave for others. Man, this quote, it just cuts right to the heart of our final point. The calm of the junzi, the exemplary person, It doesn't come from having an easy life. Not at all. It comes from the inner peace that's earned through self-cultivation, from a relentless focus on virtue, no matter what's happening on the outside.
And this is really the ultimate takeaway. The legacy that truly lasts, the one that inspires and influences generations to come, isn't built on what you could do physically. It's built on who you were, on your resilience, your compassion, your love. That is the moral example that endures forever. You know, after going through all these big, profound ideas, it really just boils down to this one simple, immediate question that brings everything into this very moment. Not yesterday, not tomorrow. What one act of kindness, no matter how small it seems, can you offer to yourself or to someone else right now?